Welcome everyone. If a couple people that haven't met me, I'm Joe Brannon, founder and CEO at textLIVING, and Jillian invited me today because she wants me to do a role play. They like to throw me in the fire. So what we'll do today is a role play that is like if we're sitting in front of a merchant or doing it via Zoom. I'll kind of walk you through kind of our framework, and then I'll do a little bit of abbreviated version, but I'll kind of go fast through it so we can have time for Q&A. Typically, when we're sitting face to face or on a Zoom with someone and we're doing our full Q&A demo, closing and getting them signed up, you're looking at 45 minutes to an hour for a call in most cases. Obviously, that depends on the questions they've got. I've had some calls go an hour and a half or 2 hours with merchants, that are getting excited about it and looking at different ways to use the platform, things like that. So what I'll do is jump in and share my screen here. And before we start the actual role play, I will walk you through the prospect visit sheet. So this is something we've used really since the inception. I'm a big fan of having an agenda for every meeting. The idea, that's my roadmap, right? So I can literally start a meeting, know exactly the roadmap of what stages I want to go through. If it detours because of the prospect or because of the customer, I can let that detour, but because I have a plan and a framework, I can always bring them back in and get everything I need to accomplish on a call. Every meeting I have, I still, even when it's not having to do with pitching, just kind of a point for you guys. I always write out an agenda for every meeting that I have, even if I'm not the one leading the meeting. I want to make a couple of notes of things I want to accomplish in that meeting. It actually surprises me at how little people do that. It's kind of surprising. Like when I've hired sales reps, they didn't tend to be taught that. It is huge for me, and what it does is it helps a rep, or helps you, or helps me. It builds confidence because I know the roadmap. Like, can you imagine getting in the car and saying, "I'm going to go from Tennessee to you know South Dakota." Well, I know I got to go west, but I need a map. I need directions, and your agenda is your directions. So just to give you the framework of kind of how we start the agenda and how we go through the process, I always state the agenda when I start a meeting that I'm leading. So here's what we're going to expect today. Here's what we're going to go over. And then I ask for buy-in. How does that sound to you, right? And the idea behind that, it's just this little psychological trick. I'm just getting their buy-in, getting them saying yes. I've never had someone say, well, that doesn't sound good, right? Then I'm a big fan of Q&A. So then we typically, after we state the agenda, first thing I like to do is just learn a little bit more about your business, about your marketing strategy, your communication strategy, and I'll dive deep. I'm not going to go super deep into that today, but a lot of times I'll spend 15 minutes on Q&A. The reason I do that is because I want to get to the question behind the question, because when you ask the first question of a prospect, they typically give you a very generic answer. And so you've got to keep digging a little bit, digging a little deeper and asking what I call the question behind the question. I didn't make up that term. It's in a bunch of books, but and that's how you get people to really open up. And then what I do, a lot of people make this mistake. Once they ask a question and they can solve a problem with their platform or their product, they jump in and start pitching. And I would guide you not to do that. I would guide you to build, go through your Q&A, build a framework of how you can help them. Then once you start presenting, you can remind them, well, you mentioned this when we were talking during the Q&A, and this is how we can solve that problem. And then this is how we can solve this problem. And you're using what they told you actually against them, really, right? They already told you, yeah, I don't have a way to do that, or that would be beneficial to me to do. Okay, good. I just keep writing questions. I don't go into the pitch. Once I've done with my Q&A, I'm old school. We still do presentations with slides. You got to be careful not to be too long-winded on slides because that will bore people. You got to keep them engaged, asking questions, engaging them through the slides. We then typically do a short demo. I don't need to get into the weeds on the demo. unless they start driving me there. They want to learn more because what I'll tell them, like, we're going to train you. You're going to have onboarding with one of our team members. You're also going to have training inside the platform that's built in. So I don't need to go deep into the training. I've closed many deals and never even showed the platform, right? You don't necessarily have to show the platform. I like it though, because it's fun. It's cool. Like, it's when you see software working, people like that. Then I come back, to pricing after I've went through the demo. After I go through pricing, I always ask the question like, you know, you said this adds value. Is there any challenges you see with this platform helping your business? So then I want to manage the rebuttals. Is it price? Is it, they're confused about something, whatever it may be. I want to manage those rebuttals, and then I go in for the sell. And the way I go in for the sell is I just say, all right, well, let's get you going. Like, it's just that simple. And they'll push back. Well, I need to think about it. Okay, well, if you need to think, what is concerning you that you said that you thought this would add value. What's actually concerning you? I want to make sure you've got all the information you need to make a decision. One thing that does come up every once in a while is like, I just don't make decisions on the first call. And I'm not going to be a hardcore salesperson. If they say that's how they go about things, understand what information do you need from me to help you analyze this. And if they say, I want to talk to my spouse or my partner, I always say, well, let's set another meeting with your spouse, with your partner, because I'm the expert at this. I've been doing it for 15 years or however long you've been doing it. We've got all the data we can share and answer their questions. And you just learned about it today. So I'd love to be able to answer your partner's or your spouse's questions with you directly. Because that's usually, it's a way to get you off the phone. It's not the real true reason. And a lot of times the true reason is they're confused, and I tell our reps this all the time. A confused prospect will never buy from you. And they won't tell you they're confused because of pride, especially when you're dealing with a business owner, right? So they're just going to say no because they got confused, and they didn't understand the value, right? And that's your job as a owner, as a rep, if you're training sales reps, is to help them really dumb everything down and solve a couple problems for these businesses so that they're like, it's a no-brainer for them. So all that to be said, this is the prospect visit sheet you're seeing on my screen that I use. I'll probably be a little rusty today, so you have to deal with me because I don't pitch this product much anymore. But I did write it all, so I should be okay. All right. You see my screen okay, Jillian, the presentation?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So, let's see here. Let me go ahead and go to, actually, I'm gonna stop sharing while we're doing Q&A, and I'll come back to that after we're going. All right, what kind of business are you gonna be, Jillian?
I'll just be coffee shop. I think we talked through that one on the last call.
Coffee shop last call, you said?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Joe,
Good
are
deal.
we supposed to be seeing what you're displaying on the screen?
No, I'm gonna do Q&A first with her, so I'm gonna kind of kick it off and then I'll share the screen. So typically when I'm presenting or when our reps are presenting this first part, they're doing it face to face via Zoom, or they're not really showing anything until it's time to start presenting. So awesome. Well, let's kick it off. Jillian, I really appreciate you agreeing to spend some time with me today.
Yeah, thanks. No worries. I'm excited to learn more.
Awesome. Well, just to kind of kick off the meeting today, I want to kind of share what some expectations of what we're going to go through. So, really, what I'd like to do first off is just learn a little bit more about Jillian's Coffee Shop. A little bit kind of how you're currently marketing to get new customers, how you're creating loyalty customer base, maybe how you drive back lost customers, other communication strategies you might be using to talk to employees and new recruits, things like that. So just really ask a few questions to learn about the business. Then I'll go through a few slides to kind of show you how we've helped other coffee shops like you with their communication and marketing strategy and help them increase revenue with our platform and help them build stronger relationships with their merchants. Then I'll do a quick live demo of the software. This is very conversational. So as we're going through, and even when I'm presenting, you've got a question, just stop me and it won't throw me off at all. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So to kick it off, I know you're the owner of Jillian's Coffee. I'd love just hear the story of like why'd you start this business and kind of what's the story behind that?
Well, I am an entrepreneur, and I've always wanted to own my own business. Big coffee goer, so I just decided to go down that route. And we've built it up, so we've got about 3 locations now in different counties. And I do it with my husband. He also does this too. And so, yeah, that's kind of how we got into it.
Very cool. I noticed I mean, it's pretty good growth. I noticed on your website that y'all launched about 3 years ago. So do you have plans to kind of keep extending and building out the brand and getting more locations?
Yeah, eventually, but not anytime soon. I think we just added on the newest location recently, so we're going to kind of uh, stay here for a little bit.
And out of curiosity, since you're working with your husband, do you got your kids involved in the business as well?
Yeah, well, they're school age. My oldest, he works outside of school sometimes with us, but yeah, they get involved too.
Perfect. That's that's great. It's a great story. I appreciate you sharing that with me. If you don't mind, I'd love to hear a little bit about like how do you currently get in new customers to the coffee shop? Like what kind of marketing strategy do you find that works well for you guys?
We do a lot of local ads. We have, the newspaper will put ads in there. We like to do a lot for the schools, so we will sponsor ads and stuff, football fields and, different things like that. We get in the coupon books sometimes too, and word of mouth, of course, and social media is a big place for us. So we're always posting things on there and trying to get people involved and sharing our posts, and we'll make like fun games out of it as well. We'll do like a drawing and from people who've shared if people follow us on Facebook and things like that.
Awesome. Yeah, I noticed you got a really good following on Facebook and Instagram. It looked like you had over 5,000 people between the two.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And y'all looked very active. It seemed like when I was looking it up, it looked very active. So congratulations on that. How do you get people to your social media channels? I come into your store, like how do you drive me to go engage you in your social media?
Typically, it's just kind of word of mouth. So try to get people close to me to pass it along. And like I said, we'll do some kind of a thing every now and then where we'll do a post and we'll have our followers share it. We'll do a drawing for, if they share it to so many people and they have the proof of who they shared it to, we'll do like a drawing for them.
And then all your local ads, your newspaper, football field, little school magazines, coupon book, stuff like that. How are you? I guess the coupon book, are you just they tear it out and bring it in? Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly.
And how are you tracking the other ones? Like, you get a football field sign or you get a newspaper ad. Are you putting coupons in the newspaper?
No, we don't typically do coupons in there. We don't really have a way to really truly track it. I guess if we were to count them out and um, you know, look at our sales from that day from the coupons or whatever. But we don't really have like a true way to track it.
Building that social media following, I mean, it seems like it's important to you. Is that a good assumption?
Oh yeah, yeah. We liked doing all the stuff on social media for sure.
Are you spending any money on social media ads? Like, are you boosting posts? Are you buying ads? Are you just posting to your,
Just posting.
and are you tracking, are you using the Google or the Facebook analytics to track the engagement of your post right now?
We look sometimes, but I don't keep up with it.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's interesting because Facebook, they want you to spend money with them if you're a business. So they don't really, if you make a post, you've got 5,000 people following you. But if you go look at the engagement, you might get 10% if you're lucky of people that actually see the post. So
Hmm.
it's kind of challenging. You still want to build that list, obviously, but they want you to boost it or do paid social. That's why they're so big. Um,
Yeah.
so retaining existing customers, what do you do? Let's say I come in, it's my first time, right? Have a great experience. Staff's great, coffee's fantastic, but depending on which county I am or how close I am, I might not be, it might not be on my drive to work or on my drive, on my drive home or whatever it may be. What do you do to kind of take those new customers, turn them into repeat customers? And then what do you do to retain customers after you've turned them into a repeat customer?
We used to do our point of sale has some kind of a rewards thing built into it. We haven't really utilized it yet. We used
Okay.
to do some paper punch cards, but we've kind of done away with those. I don't really like them very much. So we don't currently do anything. I haven't looked into what we have in our point of sale, but I do know we have something in the point of sale.
And do you think it's valuable as a business? Like if you think about me and I come in there and I haven't been there in 30 days to like automatically draw me back, do you think that'd be valuable for your business?
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's see here. Well, that is super, super helpful. Maybe one other question I have is just about communication. I know in this world of, um, when you think about like talking to employees or, you know, getting new employees, I'm assuming if you're like most restaurants and coffee shops, you have a lot of young kids that work in there. Is that similar in your case?
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
keeping them motivated and it seems like you're always hiring in this industry. Is that kind of a sentiment you have as well?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
how do you find communicate when an employee calls and says, I'm not going to make it today, right? And you've got to get someone in the store quick. Are you using any kind of platforms to communicate to your employees or communicate to potential employees?
No, I usually just text. I have all of my employees in my phone, and I typically know the ones that will, pick up shifts
Yeah.
when someone calls in. So I tend to reach out to them first.
Uh, and then last question, and I'll be done with my interrogation. Is there anything you've been thinking about as a company with 3 locations, like from a marketing standpoint that you're kind of excited about, that you've been looking at? Any kind of goals around marketing, or even business goals that you've been thinking about as a company that you'd want to share?
Well, I mean, just, after our conversation, I am excited to learn more about the texting part of it because I do know it's starting to be a need. I do know our point of sale has those capabilities. I think we talked about that over the phone as well. I haven't looked too much, just like with the reward system, I haven't looked too much into it yet. So, but that's definitely something that I think is a good next step for us.
And remind me of your POS company. Is it Toast or Square?
It's Square.
Gotcha. Yeah. And they do have a texting platform. They have a loyalty program, and it's not bad. Like it's actually a good loyalty program. The texting program is okay. The only reason I say that is, they're in the business of creating great point of sale systems. They're not in the marketing and customer retention business. That's kind of I wouldn't say it's an afterthought, but their number one thing is making sure that they support you on the POS side. And it does work well. And we've got lots of customers that use their loyalty program and then use us for text or use both theirs. But there are some limitations because they're not living and breathing that every day. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we're going through the presentation and maybe some key differences of our platform compared to what you might see in your point of sale platform. Make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
I appreciate you answering all that. It actually really helps me a lot because what I want to do is make sure that, I'm using your time valuably and not just, spewing a bunch of stuff at you that's not going to be beneficial. And, I've got some fantastic ideas already kind of percolating just based on what you've told me that I'll be able to share as I go through these slides. Oh,
Okay.
share my screen here and you'll be able to see the presentation. All right. All right. Seeing my screen okay?
I am.
Perfect. So, quick history on our company. We started the company back in 2010 and really had a simple idea. We wanted to find a way, we wanted to build a platform that helped small and medium-sized businesses like yourself easily reward their loyal customers, create more loyalty, and really help them drive more revenue with a business texting platform. We chose texting as our form of communication when we started building the platform, just because it's so immediate, right? When you look at the stats that are on the screen, when you send a text, 98% are opened, right? It's a universal form of communication. Every single phone has one. And in 2025, us humans are addicted to our phones. They're always right by our, right by our arm, or in hands distance, I should say. Also, another interesting stat is 95% are open within 3 minutes. So let's say you're having a big event and you see that like there's not a lot of people here, and you've got a database now where you could say, okay, we've got this person doing some acoustic guitar in the coffee shop. You can quickly send out a message with a video link to that person playing and quickly draw people in because they're going to read it within 3 minutes. Um, Kind of third too is just that engagement rate. We're talking about like kind of the Facebook engagement is really low. With text, it's extremely high. We typically see around 30% click-through rate. And that's going to be important when you start thinking about how do we take someone that's brand new and automatically drive them to maybe like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, give us a positive Google review, things like that. And when you kind of compare it to email and some of the other forms of communication, 5 times more effective than email. The average open rate for a business in emails somewhere between 12 and 20%. Some businesses will get a little bit higher than that, but email is not immediate. People don't tend when they sign up for stuff, especially in 2025. Most people have multiple email addresses. And what happens is they have they have an email just to use for signing up for stuff, right? For all their online shopping or whatever it may be. And so they use that email. They're not checking it all the time. And many times, if you did an email offer, it's going to be expired by the time they even read the email. And you can kind of see that in the stats. So one thing we learned early on about software in general and any platform you look at, you could have the best platform ever built, but if no one's using it, it's pretty worthless. So we really set out to think about not only a merchant like yourself, but we really think about and spend a lot of time thinking about your customer and how do we make it really, really simple for them to be able to sign up and engage with you as a business via text message. And it all starts with how do we get them signed up? So we've got multiple different ways. I'm really going to just spend time on the first three. Number one is we provide our merchants with an in-store kiosk. So, if you go into the coffee shop, at your coffee shop, you probably have a point of sale where people are ordering their coffee. We could provide you with a kiosk that sits right there. As you can see, it'll have the sign up offer, the loyalty if you're using our loyalty platform. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And it's got this big sign up, check and redeem button. We also provide every customer with a mobile web app. And that mobile web app, a customer can scan a QR code, click a link, and it'll take them to the mobile web app that is geo-fenced to your location. So, if they're sitting at a table, they could scan it at the table, enter their cell phone number, and sign up that way. The third, which I think you'll find really interesting, is the online web forms. Because the online web forms, you can have as many web forms inside of our platform that you want. So when you talked about earlier, when you talked about tracking your marketing, we can digitize those coupons for you. And now you're building your database of people you can text. You're able to engage them, drop more social media followers, as well as track the revenue of who's coming in and redeeming offers from the newspaper ad. We could put a big QR code right there on the football field saying free cup of coffee for signing up, and they could scan it from sitting in the stands, and now they're going to activate an offer and then come to your location. And then kind of old school, we do have keyword marketing. You text a code, you pull up your phone, text a code, and you can sign up that way as well. When you think about keyword marketing, one of the unique ways you can use keyword marketing is to engage customers and start maybe grouping them. Or one of the cool ways a lot of our people do it is Google reviews kind of important to you? I mean, I noticed you had a lot of great Google reviews.
Oh yeah, we love reviews from our customers.
So one of the ways a lot of our customers use keyword marketing in our platform is once a customer is checked in to the loyalty platform, they can we'd ask the question, hey, how would you rate Jillian's coffee today? Reply 5 for excellent down to 1 for poor. And once they reply 5, it would kick off a keyword response saying, hey, thank you so much I'm glad you enjoyed your experience. If you don't mind, give us a quick Google review. Maybe you do the same for 4 as well. But if they had a 3, 2, or 1, you'd kick off a response. I'm so sorry we didn't meet your expectations at Jillian's Coffee. Do you mind, just so we can make sure we're doing better in the future, telling us what happened? Right. And that's going to kick off a conversation. You can have a one-to-one conversation through the platform with them. And then you can actually save that client. Hey, come in and I'm going to give you a free cup of coffee or a free, croissant. What I've found just in business over the last, 20 something years being in business is a lot of times people just want to be heard. And when you have a negative, when there's a negative thing that happens in business, that's a great opportunity to win a loyal customer and how you handle that. And that's just a good way of using keywords. Does that make
So
sense?
wait, you said that there's a one-to-one conversation so we can communicate back and forth with our customers?
Yep. And I'll actually kind of show you how that works. You definitely can have one-to-one conversations with your customers. So, another good example of one-to-one conversations might be, um, you got a big event coming up and you want to send out someone to say, if you have any questions about the event, just let us know. And they can literally reply with a question about the event. And you can also use it to talk to your employees, right? Talk one-to-one conversations with employees. You can send a mass text to all employees. Hey, I need 3 people this Saturday. First 3 to respond, you get to pick up another shift, things like that.
Cool.
So walking through the kiosk, kind of high level. So you can use it with or without loyalty. I'll kind of zoom in here so you can see a little bit. I say I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna mess it up. There we go. Well, that's not gonna work because I don't know how to use a computer. So the kiosk will go to your point of sale or hostess station. One of the unique things about it, I think, is important to kind of notate. You see where it says free beverage today with sign up. It could be $1 off a cup of coffee,
Mhm.
$1 off something. That actually moves. And the idea behind that is when you walk up, it actually will grab your attention because of the movement. At the bottom, you've got the digital punch card. So you used to have a paper punch card, right? People
Yeah.
forget their punch card. They're like, "Oh, can you give me multiple punches?" You run the issue with employee fraud because they just give them 4 punches because it's their friend, and you can't really track it, right? You don't know when they came, therefore you can't do any kind of automated response based on their habits. So we digitize the punch card at the end of the day. And so for a customer, all they've got to do is enter their cell phone number. They hit this big sign up, check in, redeem button. They enter their cell phone number and then their first name. It sends them a text to reply yes, and then they get a claim text. So this reduces any kind of fraud because it says you signed up for Jillian's Coffee. Show text is going to auto populate today's date. It's also going to put a timestamp on there. It also always says what the offer is right there, and you've got your standard messaging rate, reply help for help and stop to cancel. And then once they come in, they can only check in once a day. You can set the system if they need to check in twice a day, but some businesses like coffee shops, you could have people coming in twice a day. So you might think about that. They come in the morning, they come in the afternoon, but then they just check in, and it shows them right here where they're at on the rewards program, how many punches they have remaining before they earn their offer. If they have an offer to be redeemed, like let's say you send out a text with an offer, or there's an automated text, they would when they check in, that offer screen comes up, they click redeem, and they get a claim text. Make sense?
Yeah.
Super simple and intuitive. So the QR code, mobile web app, so you can get stickers and put them on your tables or put them in tabletops, and people could just sit there and they could scan the QR code. Works exactly like the kiosk. We can put your social media channels on there. If you've got an online menu, we can put that on there as well, and they just check in from their phone. Now, the way it works, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it's geo-fenced with your location, so they can't just sit there and check in from home. The double opt-in works the exact same way. So I was talking a little bit about how customers redeem offers. This is just a little bit closer of a screen you can see. My Zoom's not working that well, but it was right here on the screen. They can just click redeem. Same on the phone here, and they get this claim text. So it says show text at Jillian's Coffee on, again, today's date, timestamp. That timestamp's padded by 15 minutes. So if I redeemed it at 10 o'clock in store, it tell me to show up by 10:15. So I can't come back later that afternoon and say, oh, I didn't my $5 off. Also on claim text, it always says not valid other offers. So if you had a paper coupon in this, you can't combine the offers, which is beneficial for you. So let's talk about some different ways you can use text. So now that we've built the database, we want to engage these customers, keep your business top of mind with text messaging. So we got a couple different text alert types. So in your world, you're probably going to want to use a lot of what is called MMS, which is just multimedia services, just a picture or a GIF. And the reason I say in your world, you're probably going to use more of that, think about telling a friend about a steaming latte or a cappuccino with the cinnamon sprinkles on top. Like, yeah, I can use some good adjectives and get you a little bit excited about that. But how much does a picture of that cappuccino with it's got the nice, pretty cinnamon and it's got steam coming off of it? That's more likely to trigger emotional, like, hunger for that. Not hunger because it's not food, but it's going to make you a craving is the word I'm looking for. It's going to create a craving for you to come get that coffee. So you'll likely if you get into text messaging, whether it's with us or someone else, MMS is going to be very valuable for you. And we've actually seen upwards of 25% higher response rate when a restaurant or a coffee shop uses the MMS. Next would be SMS. So SMS is just a standard text. Like, when you text your mom and you're like, "Hey mom, how you doing?" That's an SMS, right? Up to 160 characters, no image. And then we have, of those text alert types, automated text, and they can be SMS or MMS. And I'll talk a little bit about the different automated text you can use. So when you think about text messaging, like, there's so many different ways you can use it. If it's a slow, rainy day, is your business typically down on a rainy day because people don't want to get out?
Oh yeah, we do have a drive-through as well though, but
Oh, that's great.
yeah, it definitely is a lot slower.
And I'm assuming you're still paying for employees whenever those people are there.
Yep.
So one of the things you can do is, if you have a big database and you're going to be down 20%, you've got employees there, take some lower margin that day, send out a text offer to fill people up, or fill up the coffee shop. If you have events or trivia nights or acoustic singing nights, just being able to use a platform to quickly talk to everyone that's a customer and get them there is going to help fill up seats for different events and stuff. Driving people to the social media channels, right? You already got a great following. I think social media, you've done a great job with what I've looked at, and we want to potentially help you increase that following and just simplify it, where you're not depending on word of mouth and employees to kind of talk about that. And then birthdays, anniversaries, you mentioned online views are very important to you, so we can automate and use text for online reviews. I also talked about, employee communication, integrating and talking to potential employees whenever they come in and ask for an application. You could create a QR code where you start talking to them via one-to-one via text, and now you've got that speed to recruit. It's going to be a lot faster than maybe other people around town that they're applying for jobs on. So next this is probably like one of my favorite parts of the platform, because once you set up automation, you can kind of set it and forget it. Like, when you look at all the tools of our platform, if we set this up right in the beginning, get all the automation fine-tuned just for you, and we'll be able to do that because we've been doing it for so long, you're really just going to be logging in from your phone or from your computer to send out text alerts. Everything else is just going to be, you set it and kind of forget it for the most part. And so when you think about the automated customer journey, and based on kind of what you've told me, the way I would think about this is, customer signs up. You mentioned, when I asked some questions, you don't really have a way to turn a new customer into a loyal customer, right? You know, you do,
Correct.
I need to back up. You obviously do, because you got good coffee, good employees. Those are ways to do that, but it's not very trackable, right? And
Yeah.
what I would recommend doing, if you have a good loyalty program, that's going to give us a way to create some retention and more loyalty. Once a customer signs up, we typically like to do something like 3 hours later, say, "Hey, we really appreciate you signing up for the loyalty program and visiting us today. If you could follow us on our social media channels, so we'll automatically start driving people to your Facebook and Instagram. And by the way, here's $2 off your next visit, and make that only valid for max 7 days." So what we're doing is we're getting a second visit very quickly. And now we're getting them in the habit of, like, "Oh, Jillian's coffee shop's where I go for work, or where I go in the afternoon to actually sit and work," whatever it may be. So then that's kind of the first start of that journey. We come back in for a second visit. What I love about doing the online review on the second visit is the fact that like we must have did a good job the first time they came back, right? So we are more likely to get a very positive review because one thing you don't want is negative reviews. And so they come in, they check it at the kiosk, mobile web app. System's going to automatically send a text message. You can set it up for an hour after they've been there. Hey, really appreciate you coming back to Jillian's Coffee for the second time. We'd love to, we'd love for you to kind of share your experiences. How would you rate us 1 to 5, right? And then that would kick off the keyword. And then if you have to have a conversation if it wasn't good, or you drive them to Google reviews, or you can just send the Google review directly because they came back for a second visit, so it's likely they already like you, right? And then probably one that you mentioned, you said you thought would be pretty valuable is our We Miss You, right? Right now, you currently don't have a way, as you mentioned in my question Q&A session we had, if a customer comes in but they haven't been there in 20 or 30 days, you said, yeah, we don't have a way to do that, and that would be valuable. Well, with the system, we can set up a 20, 40, 60. It could be 14, 28, 35, doesn't really matter. It's completely custom, but a we miss you text. And that's going to trigger based on them being lapsed or lost. So at 20 days, maybe you give them a small little offer, $1 off. At 40 days, like, okay, well, what happened? We've lost this customer, right? What's going on? Maybe you beef that up a little bit, and then at 60 days, give them a free cup of coffee. Let's try to win this customer back, right? And you'll be able to track the redemptions inside the platform because of our redemption platform with them redeeming it at the kiosk or the mobile web app. Also, we've got, birthday offer, we've got anniversary offer, surprise offer. If someone's visited 30 times, you could say, send a text says, wow, this is your 30th visit. We want to celebrate you, Jillian. Come in and get $30 gift card, whatever it may be, completely customizable. So what's important for you is you're busy running 3 locations, right? So I'll show you the software here in a moment. It's got to be easy for you or you're too busy, right? You're dealing with inventory, you're dealing with employee issues. And so we really thought about that a lot when we were building our platform. We built it mobile first. So if you're slow right now, you grab your phone, you can literally log in 90 seconds, you've got a message out. And so we've really made it easy for you to be able to log in and send out text alerts to your customers. You can really get dynamic in choosing specific audiences based on filters. You can schedule them out in advance. So if you wanted to go ahead and schedule all the events out for the year that you already know you've got, you can go ahead and get messages ready and lined up for them. Now you're spending an hour on your marketing plan for text, and then you log in whenever it's a rainy day or something comes up you want to just get more customers in. So I'll show you that process here in a minute, but it's super simple to send out text alerts. We already spent some time, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on one-to-one conversations. But to your point, like the idea with sending out text alerts is the fact that they can respond. And something that's even really cool is your local business number, that 865 number you have that I saw on Google. We can actually, in most cases, we can take and host that as SMS. So if people call it, it still rings the same way, or they can text it and it would kick off a conversation. Because in 2025, what we're seeing is some new research is coming out that consumers expect that every phone number should be textable. So over time, you're going to start hearing more about taking your current phone number and making it, hosting it as SMS. So, all right, let me jump in. I'm going to show you the platform. Any questions about the platform while I'm getting logged in?
I guess one question that popped up was if someone were to be sitting in there, they walked in and they checked in for loyalty when they walked in, they go and try to check in on that mobile web app. Will it allow them to do that?
It's a great question. No, it's connected as one loyalty program. So it would, we just tell them it'd be a pop-up you've already visited today.
Okay, cool.
All right. So I'm gonna go pretty quick through this. If you decide this is a good fit, we'll do some onboarding, some more deeper training, but I'm gonna go pretty quick through some of this and just spend time showing you how easy it is to send out a text. Well, what's going on? There we go. There we go. All right. So what you're seeing here is once you log in as a customer, you're going to see a dashboard. It's just going to give you what your sign up activity is, text message activity, estimated revenue. I'm just using a kind of our text living account, demo account, so it doesn't have much data in there. QR scan and click activity as well as usage, how many texts are sent out, how many are incoming, things like that. At the top here, you've got some action buttons like create a text alert, automated text, web form. You got the plus button here to do it as well. And then if you want to analyze any of your campaigns, you can go to tools. And for example, I could go to automated text and I could look at all the automated text I have set up. I could go in there and look at details of those automated texts, how many people were sent. If I had an offer that was redeemable, it would show me the redemption revenue, redemption percent. Same with text alerts. I can go in here and look at text alerts. You can see here, we use this ourselves. We send it out, to our partners, letting them know that we have what's this one here? See the pitch, and we got a YouTube one if they couldn't show up, right? So when I want to send out a text, I want to show you how easy that is. I just go to this plus, create a text campaign. Now it's going to walk me through this wizard. It's going to tell me choose all subscribers, or I can build a custom list. So if I want to build a custom list, I could go to, if you have 3 locations, right, and they're in different counties. So you might not want to do an offer for all locations because it may be raining 2 counties over and that store's slow, but the other ones are busy and I don't need to drive extra revenue there at a discount when it's already completely busy. So I could pick that location if I wanted to. I could also start grouping things. You can see we got tons of groups here. If I had an employee list or I had, just a regular loyalty customer list or whatever lead list for like employee leads, I could just click that and start building that list. Keywords the same. Web forms, we're talking about maybe you're doing advertising and you want to just only talk to the people that had activated an offer on ads. You can do that as well. So I'm just going to pick one here. Let's just go to Facebook here. And then it's going to ask you, when do you want to send a text? So do I want to send it now? Do I want to plan it for later, or do I do a recurring one? So in your case, let's say you're doing once a month you have a trivia night. You could set up recurring, set it and forget it, right? Set the next 12 months of that message and you don't have to think about it. If you're planning and you want to go ahead and just create a bunch of messages, you can schedule them for later based on the date. Or if you want to send one now, you just click now. So I'm going to click now here. Then it's going to ask me, do I want to track this? This is really important. So we're talking about some of the other platforms out there, thinking about Square, using Square. The interesting thing about Square and some of these other ones, they don't have a redeemable platform, so they can't really track the redemptions when you're sending out a text. Where we have our own redemption platform, you can actually attach an offer to web forms. You can attach an offer to text alerts. And so I'm going to say yes to this, and I'm going to do $1 off any beverage, or maybe any. Well, let's make this a little more fun. Any premium coffee drink. Set the expiration date. I actually want it to expire today instead of tomorrow, so it's just going to be an afternoon thing. Click next. So the reason the offer expiration time's there, let's say I'm sending it out now and it's like a happy hour special and I only want it to be good till 7 p.m. I could change that and it's going to automatically build and put that expiration time into the text message for you. Let's actually do that. That'll be fun. All right. So you can see here, it built the message for me. Text Living, $1 off any premium coffee drink. Click here, which that takes them to the mobile web app that they can then redeem it in store if they wanted to click that link. Or they can redeem at the kiosk. It would tell them this account doesn't have a kiosk attached to it, but it'd say click here or redeem at kiosk at location. Has the expiration date for tomorrow, actually for today at 7 p.m. Has reply stopped, unsubscribe. You don't have to put the unsubscribe in every message. We recommend once a month. I can unclick that. I can also, under options here, add the first name. Enjoy $1 off any premium coffee. If I want to remind them about Facebook, don't forget to follow us on FB. I can then go in here to add them in URL. I can either create a new one or I can choose from existing ones here. So there's the Facebook, already got it in there. Put that in there as well. If I want to add a second one, need a job, click here. I can then go again, add mini URL. Say I need a new one here. I'm going to paste that link, call it jobs, click insert, and it'll do a placeholder for once I create the message. Also, if I want to add emojis to this, I can do that as well. If I want to turn it into an MMS, I can upload an image, or I can use the library of images. These will be images maybe you've uploaded. It can be images that we have in the system already. This is a GIF here of Kramer going crazy. Since you have multiple locations, you can put a location link in there. And so what that does is when they click it from their phone, it's going to show them the closest location, and it'll have all three of your locations. So you might have a customer that lives in a different county. They signed up for your platform and they didn't really know you had another location because it's not by their house or work, right? Now you can show them that. Then I click next, make sure everything looks good, and I click schedule. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
automated text works the same way. Web forms. I do want to show you web forms real quick. So remember we talked a lot about your ads and kind of how you could potentially track your ads. So what I
Yeah.
would recommend doing is creating a shareable form for each of your ads. So let's talk about Facebook. You got 5,000 people in there. One of my goals would be for you is how do we take those 5,000 people and let's get them into our text club so that when we send out a text to those 5,000 people, they're reading it and our brand's always top of mind. Because as we talked about, if you go look at your analytics in Facebook, you probably only have 10%. Make sense? So shareable form, I'm going to click create a shareable form. Do I want to offer? Yes or no, I want an offer. Then I'm going to click here. We're going to do a free cup of coffee because we're trying to get new people signed up. Let's do it valid for 30 days. That's how long the offer will be valid from the time they activate the offer. I click next. Now I'm going to create the form. So this is for description. This is going to be for Facebook. So I'm going to name it Facebook Jillian's Coffee. I can change the header text, so subscribe and get rewards for a cup of coffee. So I'm gonna change this up. Sign up for a free cup of coffee. Subscribe's fine, but you know what? I really like the word submit. Um, put your primary colors in here. I noticed you're a big Vols fan. That's why it's in your colors. So we go orange and white for the Volunteers. I've got the first name and the cell phone number in there. Let's say I want to assign them to a group, which I would recommend in this case, assigning them to a Facebook group. So then I can see I got one here, Facebook ads. I would just add them to that group. We actually do Facebook ads, so I'm not going to add that, but that would show you how it would do that. And so any of the people that hit that web form would go into to that group. This is just showing you the details here that they must double opt in, and then that's the text they get after that. If I want to type in some custom stuff, I can. Don't have to if you don't want to. You can put emojis again, same as before. Once I've created that, it's going to create a link for me. So I'm going to copy that link, and you'll see right here. It created this web form already. Now take it a step further. If I go here and look here at the actions, I can go to details. I'll be able to see how many people have submitted it, how many opted in, how many have redeemed it, and what's my estimated revenue. So now I can see how valuable is Facebook. How valuable is that coupon magazine? Think about that coupon magazine. How many times have you thrown a coupon in your purse intending to use it, but you never do? Now, by activating the coupon, we're actually going to be able to communicate with them via text. So even if they don't redeem the coupon, they're now in our database. And you can actually pull out your phone, you can scan this QR code, and you'll be able to see it work. So you could put this big QR code. We could create a custom one straight for the football field. When you print your next sign, do a big free cup of coffee, huge QR code, and now they can scan it from it. And you can track, okay, my return on investment from that football ad was X, right? You'll be able to track that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that seem valuable to you as far as tracking and building the database?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Any other questions or things you want me to show you inside the platform, or does that seem
Nope, that all looks great.
good? I know I get a little. All right, let's talk about pricing. So we got really three different plans. You've got $99 basic plan. We have a one-time setup fee, which is going to include the kiosk for you. The main thing you're looking at here is how many messages you pay for overages. What I would expect for a coffee shop like you, based on where you're at with the number of people in your social media following, you'll be at this 159 or 299 fairly quickly. This is the wrong pricing one, sorry. This is an old one. So people that are on the phone, this is actually not the right pricing sheet, but let me go. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to skip over what's in the plan. So you're going to get X number of credits for this plan, and for $159 a month, and then you'll pay for credit overages. Each SMS is 1 credit. Each MMS is 3 credits. So really the next steps is, we can go through the sign up process. I'll help you set up. I'll go ahead and set up your automation. We'll get the kiosk shipped out to you in the next 24 hours. And then we can, start building that database. You'll get a call from our customer success team, and they'll set up a meeting to kind of, that first 7 days, make sure it's working. The kiosk is plug and play, so if you just plug it in, it's going to come on, and you click the app, and it's going to work. And then we'll start getting you sending out text. Sound good?
Sure. Sounds good.
All right, I'll take that credit card. Awesome. So you can see even like a couple things I'll talk about that I did that are really important. I know I talked for a long time. I'm long-winded. It's just is what it is. But one of the things that I do is I really relate back to what I learned, and I try to really use what I learned, and I say her name a lot. I say her business's name. And I take what I learned and I use it when I'm presenting. I don't just present at people. I really try to show them based on what they taught me how it's going to help them.